sticking with us.
Absolutely. You got my name perfect, too.
I know. I have my moments with my learning disability.
Great.
Now, most the questions I'm going to ask you is, as we mentioned, you do the mentorship. But before we get to that, when you started your media career, who influenced you, and how did all that come about? We would love to hear the story.
I think one of my favorite broadcasters, and still to this day, is Meredith Vieira. And when she was, she started out, well, way back, but I mean, she did 16 Minutes and rose through the ranks. But I think when I was starting my career out, the View was really kind of one of those things that I looked towards. And then she moved over to the Today Show. And when she was on the Today Show, I love her style. And I love it because she can do the hard-hitting news. She has empathy for the people that she's interviewing when it's a difficult subject matter, but she can also turn around and do a lifestyle segment as well that people absolutely love. She's very relatable, and I think that's important.
No, absolutely. Now, for people who don't know what a lifestyle segment is, could you give us an example?
Sure. A lifestyle segment can be focusing on anything from an everyday person that maybe goes through challenges, and you kind of like get involved in like what's happening in their lives. It could be something as simple as home decor. It could be a food segment. It could be an entertainment segment. So it kind of covers a really broad scope.
No, absolutely. And now, what about, how did he get on the red carpet? You know, what type of doors did he have to knock on or kick down and say, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, number one? And did you get a lot of criticism?
It's interesting because getting on the red carpet, I really started doing red carpet reporting around 2009. And it was a little bit easier to get on the red carpet than it is in 2017. Number one being security. Life has changed a lot globally. And in terms of what is happening, because they demand extra security, you have to do things like, submit driver's license and social security numbers, and they do background checks before you're allowed on a big red carpet like the Oscars or the Golden Globes. So now they have a smaller and smaller and smaller talent pool of people that they allow. So it used to be like 250 journalists on the red carpet at the Oscars, and I think it's probably now down to about 125. So it keeps on going down, so it's harder. So what you have to do is really put in the work, and that means putting in the work all the time, year-round, not just award show season if you want to do red carpet. You have to be doing those small carpets in order to do the big carpets. You have to be able to write, you have to be able to produce, you have to be able to edit. Those are the skills that are really needed in 2017. And of course, don't forget to put everything on social media and promote and build your fan base. So it is one of those things that I think is super important, of understanding that the news cycle is 24/7. I had kind of intended to take an easy light week between Christmas and New Year's, but then we had moments where, Carrie Fisher passed away, Debbie Reynolds passed away, and I was called upon to work. And I can't be like, I'm on vacation, sorry. I mean, that was the time I did have to step in. It would be the same as it's no different than a doctor. Sometimes they have to work on Christmas Day. Pilots have to work on Christmas Day. People in the service industry, whether it's restaurants and hotels, they have to work. It's the same thing with this job. But in terms of criticism, I don't get a lot when it comes to red carpet. Usually people are excited that I'm there. They love that I'm sharing photos and interviews and information about their favorite celebrities. Where I do find the criticism, and this is interesting, I've done a lot of work with Dancing with the Stars, people get upset if you criticize, like constructive criticism, like, oh, that wasn't the celebrity or the dance pro's best day out there on the dance floor. People have their favorites and they love them so much. Sometimes we get tweets of like, how dare you? And, people can get a little bit mean. I have a pretty thick skin, which is good. But sometimes if it gets a little abusive, I just block and move on. I don't bother to respond. There's no point. I have no time for it because I wasn't saying anything mean. We don't all have good days at the office. I don't always have a good day at the office. I don't always do my best, even though I try. And it's one of those things, it's no different when someone puts themselves out there. On the dance floor, it's hard. It's very, very hard, that show. So if people want to tell me they hate me, I'm like, I'm not going to respond.
That's true. I get it all the time, but, it's kind of like, hey, not my karma.
Exactly. I don't want that on me, so I just, let it go have a snack, go take a walk, and don't worry about it.
That's true. Now, you mentioned you were on Dancing with the Stars and the red carpet. Who were some of your favorite people that you got the chance to meet and interview?
From the TV show or from like award show season?
Well, all of them.
All of them. Some of my favorite people to interview from like Oscars and things like that have been Meryl Streep, because she is so much fun. Even though she's probably one of the greatest actresses of our era, she doesn't take herself too seriously. She's really kind. And I find a lot of those super high list A-level celebrities are the same way. Hugh Jackman's very similar to that. He's so kind. George Clooney's another one. Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. They're people that really understand what it is to be in the position that they are, and they understand that we all want something from them. We just want a smile, a wave, an answer to a question, and they're very gracious about that. On Dancing with the Stars, I think when it comes to, I interview a lot of the pros, and I think some of my favorites are the ones that have stayed really grounded and really understand that, yes, that they're very famous in the dance world, but when they're on Dancing with the Stars, it's about creating the best dance for the celebrity. It's not about showcasing their dance skills. And I think people like Mark Ballas, Derek Huff, Val Schmirkovsky, they've done a great job with really showcasing what the celebrities have done. Lindsay Arnold is someone that I think people should take a look at, because she's done some excellent work over the last few seasons. Sharna Burgess. There's some really good people that consistently work season after season, and they're at the top of their game.
No, absolutely. Now, the next question, actually, I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to talk about, anything you want to promote? This is your time, after all.
Well, some of the work that I've been doing outside of award show season has been with Dance Network, and it's been great because it ties in sort of my early training as a dancer with my work as an entertainment reporter. So what's great about the network, and you guys can check it out at dancenetwork.tv, they have all of this great content, dance documentaries, original shows, interviews, and it's all free, which is great. We love free. And you can really get an idea of what it's like to work as a dancer outside of the big shows like So You Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars. I get down and interview some dance icons like Mandy Moore, not the actress, but the choreographer. She did La La Land, which is on the road to probably winning Best Picture this year at the Oscars. So I sit down and interview her and really get into all of those scenes and how she helped create them. Misty Copeland is probably the most famous ballet dancer right now in the United States, and maybe even globally. She's a principal at the American Ballet Theater. And even Debbie Allen, whom I loved from Fame growing up, and she now is the director of Grey's Anatomy. She's incredible, but her legacy is really amazing, and the arc that she took. She went from a dancer to a choreographer to a director. She's an actress. She really encompasses so much and has succeeded so much, not only as a female, but also as an African-American female. And I think a lot of topics that we talk about in 2016 and 17 with the presidential election, and now a president-elect being inaugurated this week, it's kind of interesting talking to these people that have succeeded no matter what obstacles have been placed before them.
No, absolutely. And if you don't mind, I know you've been hinting towards this. How do you feel about the whole election?
How do I feel about the whole election? I think on both sides. I'm an independent voter, so I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican. I feel like what we saw happen in the 2016 campaign was disappointing, in that both sides had a nasty campaign. Both sides did so much mudslinging that I don't think we'll ever go back to a campaign that's a little bit softer and a little bit more dignified, because now we're showing, well, you can do whatever you want and it'll get you elected, or you can do whatever you want and you'll be the candidate for a certain party. And so my whole thought is that, leadership starts at the top down, and you behave like your leader behaves. Because if you're saying it's okay to have bad behavior or criticize people in a really negative way, I'm not talking about constructive criticism, people accept that behavior and say, it's okay, I'm going to do it too. And I think it's hard to watch social media and people on both sides, because people have their beliefs and people, have their candidates, and some people are happy and some people are disappointed. But sometimes on Twitter, I'm like, I just have to shut it off because, gosh, it's ugly. But what I do like about this week, some people will be celebrating on Friday, and celebrating a new president and the transition of power, and some people will be voicing their thoughts on Saturday with the Women's March all over the world. And it's 2 opportunities for people to be heard. It's 2 opportunities for people to work towards that next election. I think the congressional election in 2018 will be really important. So I think that I'm excited to see people take action, because I think we've gotten really complacent, and it's time for us, whatever you believe, to be marching, calling your congressperson, making sure you're voting. And that's what I'm happy about too. I just think we were kind of like lulled for a while, just like politics will take care of itself. Well, we're showing that it's not, and they're going to do what they want. So we have to make sure our voices are heard.
Well, would you agree that out of 3 billion people, we could have picked at least 2 decent people?
Yes, I mean it's funny because we've had 8 years of an administration, and so once by that second term that he's done in 2000, at the end or the beginning of 2017, that you have some time to groom a candidate, and it's weird who emerged. I mean, the Republicans on their side had at one point, was it like 18 candidates? That's not the actual number, but I'm just guessing. I just remember how long all of the debates were. And who emerged as the top candidate it's still shocking to me, but people wanted change, and people wanted someone who was just going to speak off the cuff and speak their mind. And while I don't agree with that, I just feel like there are more. How do I say this politically correct? But I just feel like there are better choices out there, people with stronger character and integrity that can represent both parties.
No, absolutely. And like I said, we're both independents. And I would say the biggest thing about Hillary Clinton was she ran a horrible campaign. And it's like, a lot of people were going back and forth. I don't know, there's some moments where I say, oh, I really like Trump. And then I'm like, what the hell was I even thinking? The guy's an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I think that's it. There's things on both sides you can take a look at. I think Hillary and her campaign misjudged the strength of Trump, and misjudged certain key states, which I think is really important for people to go back and look at when we come up for another presidential election in 4 years. And, I don't agree with how Trump runs his Twitter account. I'll start there. And I don't feel like a lot of people are being well represented by him. That concerns me. I mean, he hasn't been in office yet, so I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. But based off of his Twitter account alone, it is gross to me. So, it's just one of those things that I do. I expect my leader to act with some sort of character and integrity, and I haven't seen that yet in when he's been president-elect. So maybe I just keep hoping and praying that somehow Friday will magically wave the wand and he'll act presidential. But I can't promise that.
Well, one more question about it, or more like a joke about it. You're a fan of The Simpsons?
Oh yeah, I love the show.
There's an episode where Lisa becomes, I think, the first woman president after Trump. And she says, well, after our last president, we had this huge deficit we have to clean up. But I thought it was funny, but Trump was president in The Simpsons. And what happened just a couple months or years later, Trump becomes president.
They predicted it, and it's one of those things you think, maybe Lisa Simpson will be our next president. What do we know?
That's true. Now, the next question I was going to ask you. Now, like I said, you can ask me anything you want. This is your time as well. So was there anything you want to talk about?
No, I think talking about Dance Network and sort of what came out of that was kind of fun.
All right. Well, while on the subject, for you, when you started your media career, what doors did he have to go to? Did he use LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or did he actually go to the person themselves?
Well, back when I was starting my career, social media didn't exist, so it was really about networking, and I think networking has kind of taken on a beast of its own, and going just to meet people is one thing, and exchanging business cards is another. It's always good to have face-to-face time with people you want to work with, or you want to interact with, or learn from. But I think what's important is the follow-up. And I am a member of the Southern California Alliance for Women in Media, and we do a kind of a speed mentoring program, which I would call similar to speed dating, where you get 5 minutes with a person, you sit down, they ring the bell, you move to the next person. And in that time, business cards are exchanged. And people take notes and they ask questions and they try and get your feedback. But the people I know who are going to succeed are the ones who do the follow-up. The ones that within 24 hours say, thank you for meeting with me, I had one follow-up question, or thank you for meeting with me, here's what I learned from you. Those are the people that understand that it's not about just exchanging the business card, it's the follow-through beyond that. And I think that is super important, and that's something that I've done throughout my career is the follow-up. And if I really want an answer, trust me, I am persistent. I will email you, not all the time, but I might follow up 6 weeks later with another email saying, hey, remember me, I still have this question. Social media allows people more accessibility, but I don't think, it's great to make the contact initially, maybe on social media, and then take it behind the scenes on email. I find that people think that DMing on Twitter is a great business tool, or Facebook Messenger. I would actually prefer, and it's why I keep my email in my bio, email me. Let's just take this right away because we can get the back and forth going really quickly. I find that's a little bit more professional than just the DMing and the Facebook Messenger. And I honestly don't respond on Facebook as quick as I do when it comes to email, because I'll dedicate some time at the end of the day. So, everyone has their approach, but I think persistency is key. Having a conversation with people is key, and the follow-through is really important.
No, absolutely. Now, then my next question I was going to ask you is, do you think social media is bullshit? Or do you think that it's the next step in the, because everything's evolving. TV was a big, I'll give you a perfect example. Radio was a big thing. Then you went to TV. And TV's a big thing. Now you're going to online. And online, then you go on demand. And on demand, it's going to be replaced. So why I say social media is bullshit, it's from what I've been told. It's I've been turned down for interviews because I didn't have the numbers. And this is one question I'm going to throw back at you in a minute. Do you think it's fair? Well, let me give you, say we're in a contest, and we're talking to, I don't know, you like Fox News or something, right? So I say you like Fox News, and you say, okay, we have this kid with a learning disability who has 500 followers. Yet we have this beautiful woman over here who has 5,000 people following her. Who would he go with? Would he go with the kid with the message? Or would he say, yeah, his message is good, but she has more followers, and they'll go with her? Do you think that's fair? And that's why I think the whole thing is,
It's not fair, and for several reasons, and I will tell you this is happening here in Hollywood quite a bit. 2 actors are up for a role. They're both equally qualified, but the one who gets the role is the one with the higher social media numbers. And from a business sense, it makes sense to give it to the person with the higher social media following, because if I'm producing a $10 million film, I want to give it to the actor who is going to bring in the fans to buy tickets at the box office.
Right.
Same thing happens on Broadway. This is happening left and right in casting sessions. The other thing, though, is that a lot of people buy followers, and they're not real. So you have to be careful with people that say, oh, I have, 500,000 followers. Well, if you go to a software program like fakefollowers.com, you can see what percentage of those people's followers are authentic. And I think that follow-up needs to be done by producers and things like that, because anyone that has over 50% followers that are fake, not real profiles, you're going to have an issue. You're not going to see those box office dollars. You're not going to see anything you post, whether it's a film clip or a picture. You're not going to see that translate into retweets and likes and shares and everything else. So it's a bit of caution with something like that. But I do understand when there's two equally qualified actors and one has a genuine social media following, I understand why producers are thinking this is who's going to get it in the end. It does happen on the media side, as you've said. Your interview requests get turned down. It happens. I'll be very transparent about this. Even for the Oscars, when you fill out your media application, they are asking not only for the media outlets' social media profiles and their numbers, they're also asking for the reporters' numbers. Like, how many followers did they have? So it's happening across the board, and we need to get used to it, whether we like it or not. I don't buy followers, so it's very important that I keep my social media very authentic and genuine to my voice and who I am. And I give a lot of thought to what I post. I don't really randomly just throw out a bunch of controversial tweets just to get likes or things like that, because that's not what I want to be about.
Right. I give you a perfect example. And I don't mean to complain to you. I apologize.
No, it happens. I understand. I'm on the same side, so.
I try to get in, I'm a big fan of Grimm, so I try to get Addo and Coffee on the show. I try getting Mickey James on the show. And they say, well, can you guarantee us 1 million followers? Can you guarantee that you're going to get 1 million views? And then it's kind of like, okay, well, if you can't guarantee that, then you could pay us $1,000 and then we can have it. I'm like,
yeah.
One, this is, I'm handicapped and I'm handicap retarded. That's what I'm labeled as, handicap retarded. And they're like, okay. Now, my show is about good message, showing the people with learning disability I can still amount to something and turn myself into an example. Yes. But all that matters to you is social media following or being paid for your time. And it's kind of like, where do you draw the line? It's like, where does it go from fantasy to, it's like, okay, he has a good message, stand behind him, and just take it to the next step.
Well, I think it's important for you to keep doing what you're doing because you're going to resonate with so many people that are in your situation or have challenges, and to persevere through that is important, and the followers will come. To the people that are like, you need to either pay us or you need to have 1 million followers, that's on them. It has nothing to do with you. And the thing is that they don't realize that bringing their talent to you will draw followers and will draw views. If their celebrity is resonating with their fans, and it doesn't matter who they're interviewed by, whether they're interviewed by Ryan Seacrest or interviewed by you, people will go and seek out the interview if they love that celebrity enough. I always think of someone who has just such beloved fans, Lily Collins, who is so nice and so kind. I've interviewed her several times, but I can draw as many views on Lily Collins as Entertainment Tonight will because the fans love Lily Collins. They follow her. Yeah. So I wish sometimes publicists would kind of understand that. But the higher the celebrity comes in, the less interviews they wind up doing because their time is precious. They're being torn in 1 million places. And sometimes they're like, I can only do an interview with Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood, and that's all I'm doing. And I respect that. I understand, their time is precious. But people that are, not that super A-list, they're not Tom Cruise, but when they're sort of in that middle to lower range, I'm like, come on, that's not fair. Any publicity is good publicity.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, I do have a couple questions for you off the air.
Sure.
I took this one from Bill O'Reilly, so going on the record. When I first came to you, what was your first opinion? And you can say whatever you want. What's your honest opinion of me when I first approached you? And after being a guest on the talk show, how do you feel now?
Well, what I did was when you first approached me, because I think it was through Facebook, I clicked on your profile to see who you were and see what your show was. So my first question was, who are you? And and I thought, and I read your message, because you have your message posted very clearly, not only on your Facebook page, but on your YouTube page. And I thought, what a great idea. A lot of my followers are young teens, and they're faced with so many challenges. It's hard to grow up in this day and age. It's not easy. People get bullied. People are having a hard time. I think the swirl of the election too made people feel a little bit more depressed than I think it probably did in other years. And I just thought that this is a great way for you and I to reach out and spread a great message. So I'm glad that this conversation, I feel like it's gone great, and I feel like we've had a really great conversation just about not only what's happening globally, but the challenges we see as reporters, as journalists, as interviewers. It's not an easy job. People don't realize that. It's hard work.
No, absolutely. Now, stay tuned. I do have a couple questions for you off the show. While wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 with you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
A message for yourself or as a gift for someone else. For personal connections, shout-outs, birthdays, proposals, weddings, and much more. Enter your details about yourself so the celebrity can record a personal video message especially for you, including details such as your name, age, birthday, hobbies, or whatever else you include. As soon as the video has been recorded, you'll get an email with your link so you can share it on social media or download and keep it. Celebrities record videos as and when they can, usually within 2 weeks. But if you want a video for a specific date and it does not look like it will arrive in time, you can cancel it and get an instant refund at the click of a button. There are hundreds of celebrities to choose from and many more joining every day. Search by category or genre. Buy a gift voucher, get updates and offers, and encourage your favorite celebrities to join so they can connect with fans in a fun and unique way. Raise money for their charities and much more. So order your video now for yourself or for someone else.
I'm so bored.
Want to see something really cool?
Yeah!
Now you'll never be bored again with Loot Crate, a totally bodacious mystery box packed with awesome toys, radical games, and other surprises. And the best part is, you can get Loot Crate delivered right to your door. So don't delay. Ask your parents and order today.
Everything okay in there? Yeah, everything